Oh wow, 2 people are already on. Pop your name in the chat box, my dudes, as always. And once we've got a few more people, we'll get started. I've got 1 person now. So whoever's on, pop your name in the chat box. We'll get started when we've got a few more people. And I'll explain what we're up to today. We're up to 2 things, and I'll show you those in a minute. Right, we've got Alex, Alvin, Rose Gold, interesting. That's cool. We've got 2 people, but we've got 6 people really. So if you pop your name in the chat box, that'd be super helpful. Katerina, Iona, brilliant. Okay. Once we've got a few more people, I'm going to open a chat, a kind of voice call on Microsoft Teams. Hello guys, good to see both of you. We're going to do 2 things today. One thing is me going to be demonstrating what I can do for you in terms of teaching you useful maths for your upcoming studies at university, or maybe even like some of the apprenticeship people as well. And the second thing we're going to do is analyze what we need to do, if anything, to prepare for exams in September if people want to do that. So that's the 2 things we're going to do. So number 1, we're going to teach you a couple of I'm going to teach you a couple of statistical techniques that will come in quite handy, I hope. Well, especially if you're going to do any kind of research. I'll move that so you can see that off there. And we'll also talk about analysis of exams. Once we've got a few more people, I'm going to open up a call. Brilliant. So I'm going to open up a call on the Microsoft Teams. So hopefully you've got something that can access Microsoft Teams. What I'm going to ask is keep yourself on mute, and I'm going to do the same thing unless you want to talk. So like if I teach you a piece of mathematics, which I'm going to do today, and you decide, well, you know what, I don't get this. You turn your microphone back on, ask the question, we'll have a conversation, then you turn the mic back off. The reason why I'm asking you to do it that way is because otherwise I'm going to hear my voice 10,000 times coming through every one of your receivers, because obviously you're all live streaming the video at the same time. And obviously the microphones will pick that up. So I'm going to open up the call now for everybody. But and I'm going to do this too. Mute yourself unless you need to talk. Yeah, that seems reasonable. So let's start this. Do you want to call everyone in the group chat? Yes, I do. And I've called everyone, but I'm muting myself. All right. You only need to talk. Yeah, you only need to talk. As soon as you're ready to talk, unmute yourself and talk. It's not that you can't talk. It's just if everyone's unmuted from the beginning, it just won't work well.
What is he doing?
What am I doing? Okay. So what in terms of the call or in terms of everything? Okay, so
I don't know where he's talking from.
From the YouTube channel, I've muted the call for reason. Okay, let me explain this one more time how I want you to do this.
It makes sense now.
Cool. If everyone stays muted until they need to say something, then they say something, we'll have the discussion, then we'll unmute it. Otherwise, we'll have like 30 people, and all you'll hear is like my voice 30 times coming through the YouTube channel on your phones, and that's going to be just like completely schizo. So, cool. Everyone seems reasonably happy with that. That's fine. Okay, cool. We've got enough people to make this worthwhile. So I'm going to start with telling you a story. And this is going to teach you 2 useful statistical techniques, okay? And this is something if you're doing psychology be useful. I mean, any kind of social studies research. In mathematics so far, we've always had an idea that we'll know what the mean is, we'll know what the standard deviation is. Or if we didn't, we'd be able to find it by doing some mathematical calculation. So what happens when we don't? In the Second World War, Germans had obviously tanks. I mean, all armies have tanks, right? And it was the case that Germans, being Germans, that's what I mean about like making sure you are muted unless you want to say something. Thank you. They decided that they were going to put numbers on their tanks. Okay? And the way they did it was they did it sequentially. So the first tank was 0, 0, the second tank is 0, 1, and so on and so forth. Pretty simple concept, nothing too difficult to understand, right? So here's the British Army, right? They want to know how many tanks have the Germans got. And they captured 4 tanks, and these were the numbers. There were 19, 40, 42, and 60. And the question they had to answer, how many tanks do the Germans have? Now, here's a problem where you have neither a mean, a standard deviation, you have nothing. All you've got is that they've got 4 numbers, and you know that they're adding 1 for every new tank. So how the hell could you possibly estimate how many tanks there are? Right, I'm opening this up to the floor now. Either put it in the chat or open up on Microsoft Teams and speak. How on earth could you figure out how many tanks these guys have got? If anyone's confused by the question, hey, Eve. So for the benefit of people that are still popping on, I'm just going to recap the story, right? So Germans have tanks. They give each tank a number. The number goes up by 1 every single time. It is not capture recapture, though there is some relation to that. So Germans have tanks. We're fighting them in the Second World War. We need to know. So yes, first thing we can say is Oliver from the book. Oliver says that there's a minimum of 60. Yes, I agree. Absolutely. A median. Okay, a median you could calculate, but to what purpose? You already know there's at least 60. Oliver's won that argument. Mean and standard deviation, mean and normal distribution rather, yes, we're going to use that in a minute. Saul, hello, I am here. Right, okay. While you guys are coming up with ideas, I mean, there's more than you can say. I mean, Oliver's kind of hit it at the baseline. There's 60 minimum. But knowing there's 60 minimum doesn't help if there's 400,000. And I mean, Russians used to do things like that. I mean, Germans not so much, but the Russians, you have millions of tanks. So just for those people who have come in, 2 things we're going to do today. One thing I'm going to do is teach you some statistical techniques that you won't learn at A level, but are super useful for any kind of psychology research or whatever doing. Why at least 60 and not 19? Because I've told you, let me just recap the story, it'll become obvious. So we're fighting in the Second World War. We're Team England, obviously. Germans come out with this new brand of tank, and they give each tank a number, and the number goes up every time they make a new tank. So the first tank is 00, the second tank is 01, 02, 03. And during the course of battles, we've managed to capture 4 tanks, 19, 40, 42, 60. All right? And not in the Second World War category now. I mean, in general, I like Germans, but this is a historical thing. And obviously, as part of the English army, we'd quite like to know how many tanks they've got total. Because obviously that's useful, like military intelligence, knowing how many tanks you need to make. So all we've got are these 4 numbers. We've got those 4 numbers on tanks. We've got 19, 40, 42, 60. How many tanks do they have? And so far, Oliver's quite rightly pointed out that there's got to be at least 60, because then they must have made 60 tanks to have a tank labeled 60. What else could we possibly know? I mean, feel free to pop up on the chat or on the Microsoft Teams and unmute yourself and say something. It'd be nice to hear someone's voice once in a while. I'll give you about another minute and a half. What else can you say about this? Is there any other conclusions you can draw? Doesn't matter, Alvin. I mean, it's a bit of a weird question. It's not something you'd get in a textbook. And this is why this was actually the sort of thing that people were taken out of universities for when it was wartime. So they were taken out of universities that were studying psychology, sociology, and said, okay, here's some problems, because they sort of have to think that way normally. Katerina, you've misspelt my name, my dude. I would have thought after 2 years you would have gotten it. Would it not be 61? Okay, fair shout. We've increased the minimum by 61 because the way I've defined it is 00, yeah. So Katerina pumps up to at least 61. That's fine. Kuzma, if you're watching this, don't stress, do what you can, all right? I'm going to have a chat with you anyways, all of you. Well, I'll talk to you about what we're going to do about the one-to-ones on Thursday soon anyways. No one's talking to me on the chat, so feel free to pop up with some ideas. So Katerina has improved on Oliver's suggestion, 61 minimum. Is there anything else we can say? I'll give you about another 15 to 20 seconds. Is there an upper bound? Is there an upper bound? to this, the way they've done the numbering. Who's the don't stress? As I said, I'll catch up with you. It is, but you can watch the video when you've got yourself sorted. So no, the tanks went 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 2, 0, 3, up to 60. That's what we've decided so far. All right, at least 60, but we don't know how much more above 60 it goes up to. They've only captured 4 tanks. They don't know how many tanks there are. Yeah, all they know is that the Germans have this numbering system that starts from 0, 0 and ends at God knows where. And the question I've asked you is, where's God knows where? Because if God knows where would tell us how many tanks we've got to fight. All right. I apologize if that story isn't as clear as I thought it was in my head. Well, it's a true thing, it's what happened. All right. All right. So I'm going to ask you guys, I'm just going to kind of focus on this question. Is there an upper bound on this? Yeah, I mean, upper bound 90. Well, it wasn't going to be the case that the Germans were going to go around and say, oh, we've got this many tanks, England, attack us now. Yes, I mean, upper bound 99, you hope, you know what I mean? Then they pop up with the one that's called 100. But yeah, I mean, let's go with that as a starting point. We've got no evidence that they've gone up to 3 figures, because maybe you'd say they'd write 019 if there were 3 figures. Maybe, yeah? But we're going to put it with a question mark. I think as far as you know, I did say it's only 2 digits. Yeah, I'm willing to concede that. Okay, so clearly we have a problem here, and the mathematics that we've got can only take us to a very, very vague kind of analysis. So I'm going to teach you 2 formulas now that you can use to estimate that how many of something is there when you only have a small sample. All right, so let's do it. Okay, here's formula number 1. This is this is called Frequentist Statistics, but it's not particularly difficult. So your estimate, remember the squiggle sign, is given by this formula here. So m plus m over k plus, so minus 1. Okay, so let's first define what those letters are. The number of tanks, yeah, that you've captured or we know about is k. So this is your information, yeah. So the amount of information you have. All right. What's this called? I mean, it hasn't really got a name. The formula I'll give you is this is all called Bayesian mathematics. Let me put this up. And especially if you're doing any kind of social science or any kind of, even economics, Bayesian mathematics comes, and it's quite interesting. If we get time, I'll do the Bayesian proof of the existence of God. So this shows you how much into so many different weird places you can walk with Bayesian mathematics. This formula isn't Bayesian, all right? Just to be clear, the one I'm going to show you after, which is actually super better, is Bayesian. So K is the amount of information you have. So in this case, we had 4 numbers from 4 tanks, and M is your biggest number. So I'm just going to... Yeah, 4 numbers. Cool. If you want to say something, say it. I'm super happy if people do, because no one's really used the chat function today. Your numbers were, I'll just bring them back from where they were. It was 19, 40, 42. Oh, kill yourself. 1940, 42, and 60. Can I ask you to use that formula, the one that's up there, to work out an estimate for the number of tanks? Okay, so K is the amount of information you have, so you only have 4 here. Your biggest number is obviously 60, so if you pop that in the formula for me, you'd be able to give me an answer. Write it down in the chat box, or say it to me via the Teams app, which I've got open and no one's using. Maybe they're tired of hearing their own voices, I don't know. So Alex says 74, okay, 74. Yeah, Alvin says 74. Seems like there's a consensus around 74. So what did you do? 60 plus 60 over 4 which is 15 minus 1. So 60 plus 15 is 75. 75 minus 1 is 74. Right? And that's great. We have an estimate, right? You estimate 78, so close enough. Well, that's not going to age well. Problem with it, and there is a problem with it, isn't there? It's an estimate, and we don't know how good this estimate is. We know it's an estimate. Yeah, happy days, right? I mean, by the way, take notes of the formula, because the formula will come in handy. I didn't know this formula until quite recently, but you know, because the next one, I also have pen and paper ready. The next one's a bit of a beast in terms of the formula. All right. So n, we're going to go with the estimate of 74. But our problem is we don't know how good of an estimate it is, because sometimes you have very, very accurate estimates, and sometimes you have kind of estimates that's sort of right but not right. And imagine you're in the army and your estimates are wrong by 5 tanks, and those 5 tanks attack you and you're dead. That's a bit of an issue, right? So there's got to be a better way, and there is. Okay, I'm going to rub this out now. So I hope everyone's got that formula. If you don't, let me know. I'll just watch the video back when it's finished. Okay, here's the Bayesian formula, and this is considerably longer. So sorry about that, but it is what it is. So the Bayesian formulas are this, and the good thing about the Bayesian formula is it tells you, it gives you a range of how accurate you are. So basically, mu being the mean, so the number of tanks, is given as m minus 1 times k minus 1 over k minus 2. Remember, k is the number of tanks you've captured, or how much information you've got. So if it was, I don't know, you wanted to find out how many people there were in the country by social security number, it would be the number of people that you've asked for the social security number. Yeah? M is obviously your largest one. So k is how many you have, not how many there is. Obviously, you knew that already, fine. And m is your largest. All right, cool. That's not the hard one. You know, so, okay, that's not a particularly difficult formula. Here's the standard deviation formula. And why do I, sorry, it's actually a standard error formula. Why do I want the standard error formula? Because it gives me a range of how accurate I am. So here we've got, and this guy is a bit lengthy, I'm sorry. I don't think I've got space to put it there. I'm going to put it directly underneath. So sigma equals k minus 1, m minus 1, m minus, kill yourself, minus k plus 1, all over k minus, and you might say, where the hell does this come from? If you want to know, do a degree in math, okay? And this is okay, this is really headed for my social science guys that study university or whatever, or economics, whatever. You don't ever need to prove these things. All you've got to be able to do is use them, right? So like that's the kind of joke I made at Sally's expense, which I haven't heard from her. I hope she's okay. Is you guys do really, really complicated maths when you do psychology at university, but you've got no clue how it works. You just press a button and out comes a number. And that's kind of how your life will be. But so you really need to know is how to use the formula. So the question I'm asking you, I'm going to bring back the numbers again. Can you work out the Bayesian estimate? And this is, we'll take a calculator, so you might need to pull one out. And I'm going to give you these numbers. I'm going to give you 4 numbers. Is the root just over the top? It's over the whole thing. I'm sorry. That's my garbage handwriting. There you go. Your numbers were, where are they? 19, 40, 42, 60. And I'm going to ask you to do it once with that. Okay? I'll ask you to do it once with that set of numbers. That shouldn't be too difficult because it's just a typing in a calculator job. All right? So can you work out mu and sigma? And I'll show you how we can use that to make ourselves an estimate. Once we finish doing this formula bit of this lesson, what I'm going to do is talk to you about the pragmatics of September resets. And we'll talk about that for a minute. Also, I haven't heard anyone talking, and it's kind of sad. So you, as in, I was going to make a Pokemon joke. That's really bad at my big age. So you're claiming 88.5. Yes, that's true. Actually, mu is 88.5. Just so you know, to avoid, because I just imagine you doing that in an online university thing. Mu. That's mu. All right. Sigma 50.22. Brilliant. You guys are super good at this. Okay. So let's put that into context. And the context is, I've been banging out Pokemon on my DS. If you had a 3DS, I'd give you a game. Because one time I broke my leg a few years back. And it was around when Pokemon X and Y came around. So somebody just gave it to me. And because I literally couldn't move, I got super, super good at it. So like, I've still got like this team that could sweep anybody. I mean, I should be bragging at that at the big age of 35, but hey, it's a life achievement. Anyways, so cool. So what does mu mean? Mu means we estimate there's, okay, that has to happen before you leave college. You know, metaphor, me versus you fighting on Pokemon. Okay, mu is 88.5. I am using an emulator to play Platinum, very good. I mean, this is now going to turn into Pokemon, so let's move on. Mu equals 88.5, so we're assuming there's 88.5 tanks. The Sigma gives me a big warning. The Sigma gives me a massive warning. It tells me that it's 88.5, and my error, my standard error, is 50.22. So can I rely on this estimate at all? Not really, because it's telling me my tanks are going to be somewhere between 38 and 180. So 38 and 138. And that's a big difference in number of tanks. So what do? We go and get some more information. So what we're going to do is going to add so we go out, have another fight, capture a few more tanks, because we're the British and we never lose. And we got 4 more pieces of information. We found tank number 1. We found tank number 25. We found tank number 71 and tank number 75. Okay? Can I ask you to redo the Bayesian and let's see how accurate we are now? So the last time we were accurate to within a range of 55 either side, which is garbage tier accuracy. Yeah? I mean, if you're going into war and like your commander said they've got about 80 tanks, but they might have 130 or they might have 30, you basically tell your commander to go and F himself because that's completely useless to you. Yeah, you don't know if you're going to fight reincarnation of Stalingrad, or you know what, you'll be done before lunchtime and you'll be at home smoking, whatever, right? Now, so first claim is that the mu here is 86 point, and it is. So that's good. Well done. Yes, you're right. Mu is 86. I did these questions before I came. I mean, you know, because this stuff is weird enough as it is if I didn't do them. It's 86.3 from you. Remember, m is your how many? So now you've got 8, so it'll be 7 in the formula. 8 minus 1, 7. And, sorry, that's your k rather. And your m is your largest value. So it's waiting on sigma. Sigma will take a little longer. So remember, so here we've got k is 7, so 8 rather. And m is, what's the large one now? 75? 75. Oh God, I'm so tired. 13.99. I'm going to call it 14. You're right. Yeah. So sigma is 14. So what do we see very, very quickly? When we only had 4 pieces of data, we were 55 either side. Yeah. We had no level of accuracy that was worthwhile. But just by getting 4 more pieces of data, so only 8 pieces of data total, we can estimate to within plus or minus 14 rather than plus or minus 55. So what was I trying to show you there? This thing gets very, very accurate very, very quickly. K is 8. K is 8. It will end up being 7 in the formula for K minus 1. But yeah. So here you just go, well, this is 86.3 plus or minus 14, roughly. So it's far, far more accurate. Yeah? This is super, super accurate in a way. So I put that there. 86.3 plus or minus 14. And you didn't have to get that much more information. All you needed to do was get 4 more pieces. So what do I want you to take away from this today? Those 2 formulas. So whenever you've got and this, you imagine if you're doing this with like a psychology thing, a piece of research, and the only information you've got are like somebody's, I don't know, phone numbers or somebody's national insurance numbers. You could make an estimate, or even somebody's like, I don't know, hospital numbers if you're doing something like COVID-19 and you want to do some testing or something. You can use this to make estimates about things where you don't know what the mean is and you don't know what the standard deviation is, and you have no possible way of estimating it other than this formula. And it's the kind of thing that you'd be doing at university. It's not massively difficult. All right, cool. I'll leave that minute. I'll leave that for a minute. And if anyone's got any questions, pop up on the chat or pop up on the live call that literally no one's using. Then I want to talk to you about September, and then I'll shut up. This will be a little bit longer than last lessons, and I make no apologies for that, because, you know, remember Thursday we're not meeting at all. I am going to send out on the group chat a set of questions I want you, if you're one of the chosen ones, and if you're not one of the chosen ones, don't worry, I'll just do you next week. If you're, what I want you to think about a little bit before we meet, because it's not just like, it can be, let's talk about Pokemon, but there are stuff that obviously, you know, there's going on, you know, if I can offer support as part of the college, I'd be happy to, and kind of focus your minds on those things. Okay, cool. I want to rub this off. Excellent. That's good to know. That's good to know. I do want more people to talk in the talk. I understand that nobody's done it on the thing, and that's a nervous thing. So like, you don't want to be the first. I actually give Alvin permission. You may talk on the group call, because I'm tired of hearing my voice. I mean, it's a lovely voice, I'm sure, but bloody hell. Right, cool. I'm gonna rub this off now. So the second part of this lesson is as follows. Best Pokemon sheet, steal others' Pokemons. You can't do that. They won't let you in game. Katarina. Oh God. Yes, this could go very, very interesting. Okay, cool. So what's the situation as it stands? As far as I'm concerned, people will be in one of several situations, right? And what we're going to do is kind of just analyze what those are. So you could be, and for want of a better word, you could be a Katarina. And being Katarina is a good thing. It's a very good thing. Because Katarina has one of these beautiful things called a unconditional offer. Yeah? Katarina's awesome. Katarina does not care what grade she's given. She's going to university. So let's have a think from your perspective. You have nothing to lose. By the way, Katarina, if you like, the fact that you use your name is like a worry. I mean, I'm sure you do, but like, I'm just talking about the pragmatics. I can easily put this video under hidden. So don't worry, I'm not going to try to bait your life out. Once this video is done, I'll put it under hidden and just email everyone the link if that's priority. Yeah, I'm not saying that you don't care either. What I was trying to say is, like, the outcomes for you, just by doing game theory, the outcomes for you, there's very little that can harm you, and that's a lovely position to be in. So let's weigh up your pluses and minuses for if there is an option doing a September reset. The pluses aren't that strong, as far as I'm concerned. And people, can you please chip in on this on the live chat as well? Because it just feels like I'm lecturing. I mean, you could get a higher grade, possibly. And that might help you in future endeavors. Yeah? But obviously, you're going to be at uni. You're busy. Yeah? It's looking back as well. I mean, will you do better? I mean, not in a rule. I'll get to why doing better is going to be harder than you think it will be in a minute. And I'm not talking about you specifically. I'm talking about everyone who tries this. Now, that's not to say that you are stressed. Yes, thank you. Stress. Sweet. And I mean, that's all true, right? And one thing you need to take away from this conversation is, hey, Ebo, I am not trying to push you in any direction. What I'm trying to do is give you an impartial analysis of what I see. Okay? Higher grade. I'm going to just to balance it off a little bit is life outcomes, right? Cool. So if you are a Katarina, if God has blessed you in such a way that you are Katarina, superlative, right? These are your strengths and weaknesses, right? I do want to hear, as I said, I keep saying, please, can I hear someone else's voice? This is getting tiresome. Okay, fine. Let's analyze a few of these for the beginning. The higher grade and the life outcomes, that's obvious. The better your grades are, the better off, you're going to do in interviews and jobs and things like that stuff, right? Does it matter? It matters a bit. I mean, especially things that's super competitive. But like, obviously, most people look at the degree first. They look at what your degree's in. And to be fair, this is Britain. They look at where your university is. All right? But I assume that if you've taken an unconditional offer, you are satisfied with where you're going. All right? At university, I mean, you won't be at university then. You'll be just about to start. You'll be thinking towards that. Will you have time to do it? Obviously, busyness as well. The will you get better is going to be true for everyone. I'm going to come on to that in a minute, Stephanie. I'm going to take that one in a second. Will you do better if you no, we'll do that properly in a minute. Yeah, nothing to lose. I mean, that's a good shout. Nothing to lose. All right. Let's take on Stephanie's, then I'll go on to will you do better, because that's a whole debate. 100% in September. Steph, there's nothing 100% in anything at this point. I could not, you know what? I do not know. I could not tell you right now whether universities will be open in September. You might be doing the version of this with your university lecturers. I hope I'm funnier than they are, but it is what it is, all right? Okay, cool. So that's the Katerina analysis. I'm going to allow me to park will you do better, because I want a whole argument with you guys about will you do better and how you'll do better. Let's be somebody else. Let's be, I can't pick names, but Katerina, because you told me everything, I know what your life is like. Imagine you are gap year for sure, okay? Your pluses and minuses are pretty much the same. Nothing to lose. I'm going to not keep repeating the pluses. The minuses are, they're more likely to, well, to be fair, given your dad works for Pearson, I wouldn't want to argue with him. But I'm just kind of like with the idea that nobody's fully sure of how it works. I think they'd want to do it. There are some universities, and I think there'll be more universities this year that will take people in to start in January as well, to cater for the amount of people that are going to be. I was looking at this. Obviously, I can't disclose anything about, but I'm looking at the same data that you've seen. It looks like an absolute, there's absolute, if you're not happy, there's going to be, well, put it this way, I just think there's going to be a lot of people that's not going to be happy. It's not indirecting you, but I just mean in general. Because it's going to be human nature to think, well, if I'd done this, I would have done so much better. Because it's the whole system that they want you setting up, giving people ranks, it's a bit, it doesn't have the kind of clarity. If you fail an exam, you went in the exam, you failed, it was your fault. Here it's, my teacher didn't have enough faith in me, my college or my school didn't have enough faith in me, I want to try and do better. I just see there being a lot of research. All right. So if you're gap year, for sure, I think the positives outweigh the negatives. I also think it's, if you're someone who hasn't got a university place or a internship or an apprenticeship, I'd say the positives outweigh the negatives, as long as it's free. I mean, those are the positives. I'm not saying the gap year. I'm not analyzing whether the gap year itself is positive. I'm saying if you are a gap year, should you have another go in September or October? And possibly. I mean, the criteria would be, for me, it has to be free, and it's got to not harm you. Yeah. So if they say, well, look, and I know I said I don't think they will do this, but if they change that, if they go, well, look, I want, if you appeal, you lose whatever grade you had before, and whatever you get in the exam is what you get. I would say don't do it then, probably. Or depending on what you got. If you got you got nothing to lose. But if they say, you know what, you can appeal and you can have the highest grade of the two, then I would say, yeah, do it. If you've got nothing better to do, if you're at home, you're not earning, you're not learning. It's the best thing you can do in that 2 months to improve your life chances. Okay. What if you get a grade, it's good enough to go to university, but it's not the university you want? and it's not the internship you want. That's the third situation. And I mean, then it's very much, you've got to balance out, am I willing to wait 6 months, a year to go to the university I want to? Nothing is confirmed ever. Everything that get A-star go to university, would that lower the grade boundaries? Now, I mean, I'm only going on the details that we put out there. They've said that the results are going to be in line with previous years. Yeah? So there's going to be the same number of people that are going to get A-stars before, they've got A-stars now, roughly, as a percentage. So there's no reason to believe that the intakes are going to be, there's going to be this huge rush of A-stars because teachers love their students. They're just not going to let that happen. It's going to be much more the case that teachers may predict whatever, but the Ofqual have said that they're going to skew it down. So, the same amount of people that got A-stars last year, roughly the same amount of people got A-stars this year. They have to fail a certain amount of people. And this is where it starts getting interesting, because we're not sure how that's going to happen. But yes, that's why we're having this discussion. I call it a discussion. Please, somebody talk back to me. Mind you, you are talking on the chat, so I suppose that's something. So yes, there were a certain number of people who are going to fail. And what was one of the things that worried me personally was that they were going to use the college's previous history in terms of, as I said, we talked about this yesterday. Not yesterday. Was it yesterday? Feels like yesterday. Monday. Previous history to judge how many people they think would have failed this year. And obviously, I put a protest in on that. A lot of people have as well. Because that's not entirely satisfactory. You guys, for example, are above average. You were above average when you came in, and you're above average now. It's not fair to judge you by other people's standards that left last year. Okay, I mean, I didn't have an argument with Greg, because it's got nothing to do with me or Greg. Me and Greg are having a discussion. And he makes the point that almost, and he's right by this, every single mechanism, including exams, is fundamentally unfair on some levels, right? It's just a different brand of unfairness that you're not expecting. And that's why people are going to be, I honestly think there's going to be a lot of people that are going to go, and this is just partially, as a psychologist, you're going to appreciate this as well. Human nature feeling, if it wasn't for that damn Rona, I would have got, and then feel like something's been taken away from you. Yep, I do know the ranking thing they said. I presume there's going to be a question after that. But yeah. Okay. As far as I understand it, and I can't divulge any details beyond what, obviously, Ofqual have said, they want an idea. I don't think so. Your grades are on the up, actually. Remember 14 was a pass last year. The honest answer to that is, Evie, I don't know. But I think using your common sense and what they've put out, why else would they want them? Yeah. So, okay, here's a worst case. I don't know if this is going to be true or not. And again, I'm not trying to speculate because this system isn't finished yet. Suppose there was, like, I don't know. Let's pick on my old, where I used to teach debate, City of London School for Girls. City of London School for Girls, let's say that on average, they were super clever. So 70% of them get A-stars. Yeah? If the teachers, pick 90% to get A-stars this year, they might go, well, City of London School for Girls is a good school. We believe that maybe 75% of people got A-stars. So they'll pick the top 75% to get A-stars, and then everyone else gets dropped down to an A. I can't see why else they'd rank it. But as I said to you, it's not for us to kind of even say anything about this yet, because we haven't been told how it's going to work. But I just don't understand what else you use it for. Is the test okay? I asked this to Greg as well. I honestly don't think that enough people have had a chance to think this through. I would hope so. I'd certainly be pushing for it. If you had to say a test in, November would be super late. But if it was October, November, I would say the college ought to do something. I don't know if they would or not. Whether that be give you access to it, run lessons that aren't timetabled. Obviously, you won't be able to run. Well, I don't know. We can't say what's going to happen. Maybe half the country will die, but hopefully, they've got to do something for you. They can't just leave you out there. And the thing is, it's going to happen to the whole country, so something has to be done. The worst case scenario is they're just going to say the college can be used for the exam. You can come in for the exam only, and that's it. So I can't see any other way of doing the exams except because there's so many people doing it. But I hope we'd reach out a bit. But I just don't think anyone's made any decisions on that. All right? And that kind of leads me on to the last thing I want to talk about today. Suppose you need to resit. God forbid, right? And remember, as I've told you before, this is not entirely in my hands. So you don't need to get your voodoo doll out now, all right? But suppose you do. When will you find out? August 13th. Depending where the exam is, so I'm going to put that so you can see that a little bit more clearly. So August the 13th is your kind of thingy day. I can't remember who asked me this. Somebody asked me a few weeks back whether you're going to have a results day. That's going to be it. So with a bit of luck, God willing, we'll all meet there, we'll all celebrate, and all the rest of it. But by the nature of the beast, it might not be maths, it might be something else. There might be ones that are unhappy with that block your path to university, whatever. So what's the path? And of course, it really does change. It's back on university. Yes, they were, if I remember correctly, dreaming about doing it faster. And it really does show how everyone's on the hop. That is such an easy question. Okay, I'm going to answer that sensibly. I wonder. It depends how much socially we've unlocked down, right? Okay, freshers. I'm sure we all know what freshers, but if anyone doesn't, it's a week of one big huge party. You go clubbing, people get drunk. You make friends for life. You possibly have relationships that are unadvisable. That was me. I didn't say that out loud. But yeah, it's a very, very fun part of university. Yeah, freshers is a great thing. It depends actually. I like my first year. I mean, this is my team socially awkward. I didn't get the whole the hang of it, and it was just like, leave me alone, I want to hide in my room. But once if you are confident and you have fun out there, just have fun out there and just keep a Bible. I keep a Bible and a shotgun in. Like, that was just, you're going to King's, take a shotgun. Anyways, it depends how much social kind of. I have enough friends. Everyone can just leave me alone. Yeah. I don't know what your life's going to be like. Come back and tell me. I cannot predict how your friend. Where are you going? I'll tell you. I'm going to tell you about university. Depends where you're going. Yeah. So it depends to what extent social distancing is still a thing, because a lot of it's clubbing, and clubbing's lots of people getting, without pun intended or any kind of double entendre. Royal Holloway, you haven't got a choice. I'll give you a couple of minutes on Royal Holloway in a sec. So I don't know. I feel kind of difficult to imagine it that everyone's going to be okay by September, October. Well, October's when it really early September, October. Everyone's going to be down with let's get hot and sweaty and quite close to each other and on a dance floor with limited ventilation. But maybe it will be okay. I hope so. What I think will happen, whatever happens, students are students and they love a party. There will be a freshers. It just might not be them. Okay, I don't know. Royal Holloway, you have no choice but to make new friends. Royal Holloway is two things. Number one, it's Hogwarts, right? And number two, it's isolated. I've been there, I've debated there. I nearly won their debating tournament. My name's on the plaque somewhere. So see if you can find it. What's up when you're at university? So it's about 20 to 30 minutes walk from the nearest train station. It's in London, but only, I'm sure you've been there, so it's only kind of tangentially in London. And it's very, very much its own social hive. All right? You will have to make friends there or you will be miserable, even though you're in London. Because unless you've got a car, you're not going to be, when a night out is a schlep to, Egham? Egham's a station. You schlep to Egham, and then you go into London. You have you go clubbing in London or whatever. you come back out, and then you've got like another half an hour schlep on like whatever taxi's awake at 3 a.m. I mean, it's not as bad as I'm making out, but I have been there and thought, yeah, this is beautiful. But if I had to do my university place there, I mean, it would have put a cramp in my style. Anyways, yeah, so there's that. So yeah, I'm going to finish this. This is turning into a bit of a waffle session now. August 13th is September, October, November, right? If it's September, I'm going to be honest with you, you almost have no chance to do really, really well. So if you start in October, I'm sorry, if you start on August 13th, right? So if it is September, you're going to have to do some level of pre-prep. You can't just go from 0 to September exam and hope to pass. October and November are different matters. You've got 2 months to potentially 3 months, right? But September, it's a bit of a push. And like the last bit of this lesson is, what do you need to prepare if you think there's a realistic option that you might want to do a September, October, November, all right? I mean, all of these things, it does depend on the timing. I mean, November, you've got like three, even like if I said to you, you had your exams in June, in March, that's what you'd be put back into. But if it's for October, it'll be you're in April. And if it's September, you're in May. Yeah? And remember, you are going to have a lot of exams. So what do we need to have? First thing is you can't throw away any notes. Keep all notes, right? You're going to need them. Yeah? Keep all notes. At this point, in this 3 weeks, where we're still nominally at college, it's now 2 weeks, isn't it? Make an analysis of your strengths and weaknesses. And if you need resources like exam papers or something, let me know. Because you're going to need to know what you need to come back to. You are going to have to do some stuff, not a huge amount over the summer, but you need to do something just to keep your kind of mind ticking over. The hardest thing you can do is start from 0. Because, right, think about when you went from, okay, think about from this, right? In 2 weeks' time, I'm going to shut up forever. Hopefully I'll still be alive. You won't have anything compelling you to do anything. Your brain is going to be whatever it is. You might be locked down. You might be, hopefully you'll be out. You're having some fun as well, right? But you'd be starting almost from scratch. And if that's September, that's a bit, it's a bit boring. So yeah, do some stuff over the summer. You might, if it's September, October, hire a tutor. And that's if, remember, the thing is, you might say, well, yeah, I can go back to Candy. And I mean, I'd love you to, but you've got to remember, the year 12s will be year 13s, and the year 11s will be year 12s, and where will you fit? I mean, of course, I'm always going to be here to help. If you come back to me 20 years' time and say, teach my kids, I'll do it. But it's not the same as, like if we did an exam in June, you would have been basically living in the college, doing your work in the library, or you'd be working at home super, super hard. It's crazy, crazy amounts of effort, right? It's going to be a very, very different prospect to try and do this by yourself. As I said, while I'm breathing, you won't be by yourself. But it's not the same. It's not the classroom, is it? It's not, I've guaranteed 4.5 hours a week plus booster plus maths for maths and having that all the way till your exam. It's going to be, okay, I've got an exam in September. I've got an exam in October. God forbid. So I just read Alvin's last comment. The point of the matter is, it's going to be a very, very different prospect. You'd have to be an independent learner to a greater extent than, say, like, no disrespect to you. And I think you know where I'm going to come. You can't afford me, buddy. Oh, you don't, and our next sentence isn't going to level this. I literally was going to kind of frog march you through that last 2 months. It's like, literally, we're going to study this today, we're going to study that tomorrow. Because, like, obviously I know what's on the exams roughly, and, I'm going to give you all the support you need. That won't happen in the same way, I don't think. Unless there is a thing the government says, no, you have to carry on teaching till September, October, November. I don't know, where would you go? Where would you fit in the building? So it might be that it's much more like, those kids that fail their A-levels and have to re-sit outside with outside courses. Well, obviously, I reckon they'll still let you do the exams at Candy. But beyond that, I mean, you're going to have to take older stuff. All right? So I think, from my perspective, what I'm going to say to you is this. as of this week and next week and the week after, collect all your math stuff together, get it all sorted, get it in a way that you can use it. I mean, be fair, what else have you got to do, right? Analyze your strengths and weaknesses and seek out resources. Like once this is all over, like 2.5 weeks from now, I'm not going to be dead because I won't be teaching lessons. I won't be dead. So you can hit me up for anything. I need resources for this. Teaching wasn't even necessary after March the 20th out of school. Then we'll continue. Yes, that's true. Absolutely. That's absolutely true. I have my own thoughts on that reasons why. I think partially is because they want to, finish up. They want to tie off all the loose ends. They want to keep you around in case they need you. So get all your stuff set together and put together, right? And I'd say do that even if that you are not, you're absolutely sure you don't want to do it because you never know, you might change your mind, all right? Analyze your strengths and weaknesses and have that prepared and have a thought. If you're someone that's thinking, well, you know what? I'm not sure I am going to get the grade I want, or I'm the kind of person that's, Corona's dealt me a bad hand, but hey, it looks like I'm going to get a free exam out of this, a free shot at the exam. Even if I get a B, it might be in my interest to get an A. Have that thought in the back of your mind. Okay, cool. What would I need to do to prepare for it and have an idea? All right. I'm not saying interrupt your summer holidays. You won't have to fair. You won't be able to fly out. So, what else, right? So that's what I'm saying to you for now. That's sort of like your work for the next week or two. Amongst I'm going to do bits and bobs with you. Like I did psychology. I'm going to do one next week on how to pass maths exams for job interviews and how to do well in interviews. Speaking, I'm actually quite good. You can imagine I'm good at talking. So there's that. So like someone like Alvin saying, I'm bad at mechanics and stats. If you think there's a possibility of say maybe 10 or 20% or more that you're gonna have to do this, it might be worth your while to spend some time. Remember, this is going to be like your longest summer ever, right? It starts on March 20th and it's going to finish if you start university in September. And some of you guys are doing gap years, so you've got a year and a half practically. All right. I'll discuss more like individual stuff with people when I do their one-to-one. So if you look at the group chat, you know who's getting a one-to-one this week and who's getting it next week. I'm going to hang around on the live chat for about another 7 or so minutes. People got questions, pop them up on there. I don't know why no one said anything on the chat, but that's great. It's fine. I'm just going to close that now. But if you've had enough, and quite understandably, because I'll be talking 52 minutes, have a lovely day. The next time I will see you is Monday. All right. So don't need to wake up early. I do, because I'm going to do chats with people. Oh, by the way, if I'm doing a chat with you and I send a message at like 9 o'clock, you don't need to respond at 9 o'clock. It's fine. When you wake up, we'll do, right? But make sure you kind of had a look at it. I'm going to send out some information about what I want to talk to you about. So Monday's the next time I'll see you. It's glad everyone's here. I'm going to hang around here for a few minutes just to answer anyone's questions if they've got them. All right? If not, feel free to go. Have a lovely day and take care. You got any specific things you want to ask about, let me know. On the subject of exams, I'm not a biology teacher. I don't think anyone should be doing exams. Hey, Steph, take care. And at any time, I'll see you on Monday and I'll tell you how to get a job. In fact, you'll be able to get a job. Aisha, take care. Have a lovely day. I'd be interested to know if anyone actually is doing any content. Will you just message tomorrow morning? Yeah, that's exactly what I'll do. And you respond to it as and when you are ready. As long as we get it done this week. I'll get the project work. Yes. Now, but it has been said that any kind of work, no work can count at this point. So that's why I'm doing kind of varied things like how to find a job and how to use maths and do whatever. That's why I haven't gone, oh, it's optional, I have no clue when, fine. I think people are on the hot. I think the best thing to do is, I mean, obviously I think this, the best thing to do is what I'm doing. Try and give you some math. Oh, yeah, I'm finishing a course, fresh out. You do have the right to finish a course. You took the course, you should finish it. That's a fair shout. As I said, I'm here for anyone who's got any other questions. I'm interested to know if anyone's, other than like obviously not finishing the course, is anyone actually doing anything? As far as I understood from the Ofsted, nothing's allowed to go. Katerina, you look after yourself. I look forward to talking to you then. I mean, I don't think yours is going to be particularly wrong. It looks like your life is sorted. I would like to know what university you're going to. Having no classrooms, it says, hey, Google Classroom. That's actually not bad. It's a good choice. I was super happy that you picked IR, International Relations. Not there's any disrespect for your languages. Armani, you were here the whole time and said nothing. You're definitely someone I want to chat with because you were going for internships, weren't you? I'm not doing your group chat today. I mean, you're not doing your one-to-one chat this week. I'm doing it next week. But I super want to know how that's gone for you, and is there anything I can do to help? Because I've helped a lot of people get through that process successfully. In fact, I'm helping someone. I'm doing a tuition for someone today, this evening on that. So if any help needed with apprenticeships, I've told you this before, but I'm here for you, right? I'm going to shut this down in about 3 minutes. You don't need to hang around to keep me company. That's great. If anyone's got any questions, I want to keep this open. If you're one of the people, if you're one of the chosen for this week, I'll put something up in the live chat. Sorry, in the group chat in just a moment. I'm trying to do that now. What have I sent out? Autumn? Alvin, what the hell are you talking about? I think you just hang around for a minute. Let's make this 1,000,000% clear. Your course finishes in 2 and a bit weeks. Right? There will be an opportunity to appeal if your exam results are not clear with what you want. So they're not what you after in the autumn. But basically, Candy's relationship with you, other than providing your exams, finishes in 2.5 weeks. And as I've said to you before, that doesn't mean I'm going to delete all your emails, block you on Microsoft Teams or whatever. That's not going to happen. That's not my way. But it does mean that we are done here. Okay? So I'm going to be, Alvin, I want you to be clear on this because you've got a habit of grabbing the wrong end of the stick and swinging it around like a maniac. Be clear. In terms of course content, whatever happens, it finishes 2 Thursdays from now. Okay? Now, what will happen after that? Biology, mathematics, and computer science will all give you a grade. Okay? That will be put through the college systems. That will be put through the Ofsted system, the off-class systems. You will get given that grade on the August the 30th. If you are not happy with that grade, you can do an exam. Yeah? That's your method of appeal. As I understand it, subject to change. Right? You with me so far? That's the autumn thing. I've just done finger quotes. There's no way you can see that. It's just this autumn thing that you've just read now, okay? I think there's a chance that that exam will happen at Candy. Will there be taught provision at Candy? There has been no evidence that there will be, all right? Are you now clear? As far as I'm concerned, for maths, you can ask me for help anytime. People come back 10 years later and ask, can you do this or do that for me? That's fine. If I liked you, I'll do it. And I like all of you. To be fair, even if I don't like you, I'm not that stingy. But I don't think there is, once these 2.5 weeks are over, the teaching relationship that exists between you and the college disappears. Do you only appeal? I mean, Hiddo, that's a really good question. There's a shame there's only 4 people here to answer. This is what the mechanism is, as I understand, but remember, this is all subject to change. I think you get a free hit. So suppose, I'm not saying this, I'm not going to say it for you. Suppose I predict a child a D, and this isn't, make this 1,000,000% clear, this is not you, Hiddo. Suppose I predict a child D, then they think to themselves, can I have another go at this? Can I try this? Not because I don't think I am a D, I probably am a D, but I want to have another go at this. I think you can. I mean, I don't think they're looking for motive in appeals. They just want to know whether you appeal it or not, right? And as long as it doesn't affect your previous grade, I would do it. I mean, if it was my life and I was like, I already had by the time my age, I had Kings already, so Imperial the offer was there. So I would have said, clear it off, leave me alone. I don't really care. I'm not looking back. But if you're thinking, well, you know what? I've got a choice of going to London Met now or hanging on a few months. I mean, not to diss London. Actually, let me diss London Met. I went there. Not for very long. But you get the idea, right? I think very, very clearly that you can appeal for whatever reason. I don't think you have to give a justification as far as I know. The only thing I worry about is I just want to make sure that you don't lose what you had originally. So if you got predicted a D, you did the exam and got a U, it shouldn't be your new result is a U. You should still be able to keep the D. All right? If anyone else has got any other questions, pop up in the chat. I'll hang around here for a couple more minutes. Your audio is much better now. I could not hear very clear before. I don't know why that is. I'm talking in exactly the same way I was talking before. I mean, I had a cough. Maybe that helped. So anyone else has got any questions? I'm going to leave in 2 minutes, 20 seconds. Is that my earphones? I mean, yeah, I don't know. I mean, if people have problems with audio, I'm trusting them. They're going to say something. I mean, it is what it is, right? If you do okay at one subject, here we sit there, we're doing two levels another. Yes, you can. I know B6 do things like that. Not that I particularly like B6 or hate, you know, I mean, they're worse than us, and that's saying something. Bloody hell, that's on YouTube. Never mind. Yeah, I don't know if they're worse. They might be better than us. I don't know. I'm not going to have an argument about that. There are places that will do that for you. Yes. Yes, you can. What will happen here, though, is that you will get an AS to do as well, which might end up putting you in a slightly better place. You'll end up with 3 A levels and an AS, which is, you know, that's not the worst place in the world to be. Alvin, take care. Thank you for your kind words. Have you got any more questions? Or anyone else has? I love the fact there's still 4 people that absolutely will not leave me. I mean, loyalty is a thing. I appreciate that. But yeah, I think at this point, I'm not saying anything new or exciting. So, Hibbo, if you've got another question, pop it in the chat box. If you don't, I'm going to leave in a minute or so. Take care, guys. Take care. What are we going to do? Is it very, very important? It should be the... Hibbo, take care then. Okay, that's that then. Have a lovely day. Bye.